Welcome to LSC. It's Sportstime. I'm your host, Bob Hintz. Today I have with me Dan Thompson, the special teams coach over Kickdown High School football team. Welcome, Dan. Glad to have you.
Glad to be here.
Well, first we want to back up and find out a little bit about you. You did not grow up on the Peninsula. You grew up in another state.
Yes.
Whereabouts?
I was born in Louisville, Kentucky, and I grew up in Newcastle, Kentucky, which is Henry County, Kentucky, which is about an hour outside Louisville.
All right. Now, did you start playing ball when you were a youngster, or what got you into sports?
Yeah. I was 12 years old, and one day I was doing some mischievous things, and a police officer stopped me and gave me a choice. I could either go play football on his team, or he could take me downtown. So I decided that
Football was better.
football was a good option, and it got me into it, and
the rest is history, so to speak.
Yeah.
But when you played then, you were a pretty good sized youngster.
Yes.
And they wouldn't let you run the ball, and they put tape on your helmet or something?
I had a black piece of helmet on the back of your, black piece of tape on the back of your helmet that indicated that you're too big to run the football.
So you couldn't run the football, but you could tackle.
That's all. Yes, that's correct.
That was a good thing.
That's correct.
Then you always were a lineman, I assume?
Yes.
Guard and tackle, offense and defense?
Offense, defense.
All right. Then after the rec ball, you went into the high school, and what was that, Henry County High School?
Henry County.
All right. Talk a little bit about that experience.
It was a small high school, much like Pocosin.
Okay.
We were single A. Playoff football team, not anything spectacular, but we played some pretty good football. We were more known for basketball because Kentucky's basketball country. So.
Like Indiana, Indiana, Kentucky basketball, right?
Exactly. So we were competitive, and I enjoyed my experience at Henry County.
All right. Now, what kind of offense and defense did you play in the high school?
They ran a 50 front. We ran a 50 front in high school.
Which is, for people that don't know, that's your odd man. You got a man right over the center.
Odd man front, right, and ran the wishbone. Or the option.
Well, the triple option was similar to what Kozlowski used to run over at Bethel High School.
Correct.
Correct. Okay. Now, did your coach put that in while you were there, or then when you went to the varsity, it was there and you just had to learn the system?
You just had to learn their system.
All right. Now, in the blocking scheme on that, do you pull trap block, or what?
There's a counter play where I pull, but that's a long way for a big guy to come. So
right.
A lot of my blocks were block down, kick out, or block straight ahead. So
right. Did you play any defense while you were doing that too?
In high school, I started both ways.
Right.
I played defensive tackle and offensive tackle.
Well, and because of the smaller school, I assume that
the size of the school,
your better athletes play at both sides of the ball.
Right.
Right. Now, so all through high school, you're playing on the line, and then you get recruited.
Correct.
And talk about the recruiting process.
Well, I started getting mail probably my sophomore year. You get letters, so
right.
I got letters through. I used to keep a box that had the letters in there, but through the years you get rid of that. So,
right.
But the schools that I had interest in, I wanted to go to Georgetown College pretty much off the bat. It was my first choice.
Okay.
And it seemed to me that I was their first choice also. And then February came, they kind of stopped calling. And so I decided that I was going to go to Hanover College, which is in Indiana.
Right.
And then in the meantime, they called back. Georgetown called back and got really interested in me. And I've come to find out later the reason why. Because that spring they lost like 4 offensive tackles.
Wow.
To marriage. One of them failed out of school, and then a couple others just didn't come back. So all of a sudden they went from being plentiful at offensive line to nobody.
Right. So now we're talking Georgetown College is in Kentucky.
Kentucky, right? Scott County.
Scott County. What size of college is that?
It's NAIA division. We were Division I then. I think it's changed now. I think we're NAIA Division II now. We the school size probably I don't know 1,300 students, small.
Right.
I wanted to go to I was recruited by a few bigger schools, but I always felt more comfortable in the small surroundings.
You came from a small high school.
Right.
So
graduated with 110. So
right, yeah. So you're not looking to go to, you've got to go where you're comfortable.
Right,
where
correct.
you feel like you're going to fit in.
Right.
Now, did you start right away when you went to Georgetown?
No, my first year I was redshirted.
Okay.
So because they did have an offensive line coming back.
Right.
And then after that.
And then you was strictly offense in college?
Yes. See, they also ran a 50 front. Their scheme was to have defensive linemen that were small, quick, and able to move.
Right.
Being 6'4", 280 pounds, I didn't fit that mold. So
offense is where you went.
My offense was, I was recruited as a defensive lineman because that was where I wanted to play. And then first day I got there,
Well, you kind of go where the coaches need you, so you end up playing. So you started playing after your redshirt year.
Correct.
You're on the offensive side of the ball. Who was your coach in college?
Kevin Donnelly.
Okay.
Was my coach.
Now, while you were in college playing, then you went where you helped him when he would have camps.
Yeah, my last 2 years there, he ran a team camp in the summer, and he asked me to help him. And so I became his host, was in charge of a dorm, in charge of that team on the field to make sure they had everything they needed, just kind of like a gopher. But if they needed coaching, I was there to help with that as well.
Is that kind of what got you interested in coaching, doing that?
No question about it.
Right.
I mean, the love of football was there, but
right.
I was a business major at that time, so I wasn't.
You weren't thinking about coaching. That wasn't in the makeup. But you basically have been a defensive coach since I've known you.
Yes.
And you do special teams and other things too. But now, when you graduated, you didn't come to the Peninsula right away. You went other places.
Yeah. Interesting enough, the second year that I worked for Coach Donnelly, a team, Shelby Valley High School, a young coach was put in the wishbone, and he asked me to help him.
Okay.
Obviously, he liked what he saw and offered me on the spot. He said, "When you graduate, I'd like to have you come work for me." Right. So that December, I guess that was December of '91.
So you go to Shelby?
I go to Shelby Valley.
And that's in Eastern Shore?
Eastern Kentucky.
Okay, Eastern Kentucky.
Right.
All right. And when you go over there, you help him put in the offense, but do you work defense too?
No.
You're strictly on the offensive side?
Strictly offense.
Right. And then he lost his job, which meant the assistant coaches were gone.
I mean, you get rid of one, you get rid of all. So,
right.
Yeah, I was kind of got my first job and lost my first job in a matter of 3 months. So
wow. Now, you come to the Peninsula because you had a sister in here, is that correct?
Correct.
So she kind of said, well, you got a place to bunk while you look to see what you can do.
Right.
And what did you start doing to earn money?
Actually, I was at Harpoon Larry's, and I was sitting there one afternoon, and the manager come up and said, "You're big. Would you like to bounce?" And I said, "Sure."
So you make a little money being a bouncer.
Right.
But during this time, while you're there, Larry, you worked 4 years with Coach Newsom as an unpaid assistant.
Correct.
You must really love the game.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Because most people wouldn't put 4 years in doing something and not get paid for it. I mean, you might love it, but you still,
Right. It was a learning experience for me, and it's where I got started. At the time, money really wasn't the issue. It was learning and absorbing all I could from Coach Newsom, so to make me the best that I could be.
Well, who helped you with the defensive end of it when you was at Kick 10? Who was the defensive coordinator over there?
when I first started, Jack Jenkins was defensive coordinator.
Right.
And he's the one who got me at Kecoughtan because he used to go to Harpoon Larry's and he would eat there, and that's where I met him.
Right.
And I saw one night he had a Kecoughtan shirt on, and I just started, being inquisitive, and one thing led to another, and he said, "I'll introduce you to Coach Newsom," and I walked up off the street and one spring and said, "My name's Dan Thompson. I like to coach football." And he said, "Well, Steve, we start in August." So for the first 6 months, I was Steve.
You were Steve.
I was Steve. That was my name. Yeah, he couldn't even get my name right for a while.
So Dan became Steve for a while.
Right.
You answered to it.
Yeah.
And while you were with Kurt, he left Kecoughtan and went to Heritage.
Correct.
And he took you with him.
Yes.
As a defensive coordinator?
Yes.
And talk about that experience.
Great experience. Great athletes, obviously. I mean, just great principal. Tim Sweeney was good.
Right. Known Tim a long time. Good guy.
Yeah, great guy. Gave us whatever we needed to get started. Really helped us, and it was fun. I enjoyed my time there at Heritage.
Right. Now you got your degree and didn't get it in business.
No.
You ended up physical education, health and PE. All right. Now while you're over there, you and your defense coordinator, then Kurt leaves, and Quellen comes in.
Right.
And you've known Quellen.
Right.
So it wasn't like you had.
I coached his son and.
Yeah. You coached his son at Kecoughtan, and then you got to know him there. So it was a no-brainer for him to keep you, wasn't it?
Right.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
I mean, from his standpoint, it had to be.
Yeah, because there was no change of terminology. It was just It was an easy flow.
Transition from one to the other.
Very easy.
Right.
Nothing changed. I mean, the way we did everything was the same. So.
But you've coached under Roscoe Coles and Tommy Austin, so you've been under quite a few coaches. And how did you get from Heritage back to Kecoughtan? I thought that was kind of interesting. Through Larry Waddell and some other people.
Yeah, actually, Dr. Kennedy, when he was here, he had called. Larry Waddell and had inquired about me returning back to Kecoughtan, and we had some things to work out. But once we worked those things out, Kecoughtan is where my heart was.
Right.
I mean,
well, that's where you first started.
That's where I got my start,
yeah.
And that's where we made a great run, and that always has kept me hungry to want to get to that little bit that we didn't finish.
Right.
So, we still have a
because
job.
I talked to Coach Newsom about the game, and he says, for some reason we ran the ball all year long, and he says in that game we decided to pass it. He says, I don't know why I did that.
Well, it was a cold day, and our quarterback couldn't feel his hands, so I don't know how he threw the football. So it was a...
Well, then you've had some health problems. You developed diabetes.
Correct.
And you lost some toes at first, and then you end up losing a leg.
Correct.
Now, this is devastating in any of it, but you made a transition from one leg to have the prosthetic and was doing fine.
I was. Losing your leg below the knee, it's called AK and BK. BK is below the knee, AK is above the knee.
Right.
When you have a BK, it's fairly easy to get a prosthetic and get back up. Within 2 months, I was walking pretty much unassisted, but I'd walk close to a wall so that, if I went that way, I didn't have far to go till I hit something. So, I didn't walk in the center. I was always close to a wall, but I was fine. I recovered very well.
And mentally, you were doing good.
I was fine mentally.
Yeah. And then you develop a staph infection from the hospital in the good leg. And then you lose that. That, to me, is that's tough. I see a guy like you that can get out there on the football field and still coach without either leg. But, you know, a lot of people look at you with no legs, in a wheelchair, still doing what you love to do. I mean, you inspire a lot of people. You don't realize how many people get inspired by you that you don't even know. So, you know, there's something good can come out of this because you're still doing what you love to do.
Right.
You're still coaching. You've made some tremendous impact on a lot of youngsters' lives on the football field, and we'll talk about Byron Tillery in a minute because he looks at you like a dad. And but there are people in the stands that see you and just marvel at the commitment, the strength of character it takes to do what you're doing. And, you know, yeah, I'm not just blowing smoke at you, because I've talked to people about this.
Right.
So you have made a transition after losing, and this has had to be really, really tough on you. But what did you do mentally to make yourself, okay, I can get out and I can still coach? Was it the kids?
At first, you know, I didn't want to go on. I mean, to be real honest with you, you know, I didn't know how I was going to go on. I didn't really care to go on. I didn't really care. And then when I realized that if I didn't go on, that I couldn't do the one thing that I love to do, and that's coach football.
Right.
And I said, you know, you can take my legs, you can take my arms, as long as you don't take my mind,
right,
I can still coach.
Right.
Now, do I demonstrate? No.
No
but
way.
Do I get it done? Correct, I do, because I have people demonstrate the techniques that we want done. So it's easy. It becomes easy. Didn't start easy, but you find ways and tools that help you.
Right.
Like I got a football that's on a stick, and when we do get-offs, of course I couldn't get down and snap the ball, so I got a stick that I use for get-offs. So it's just a football taped to PVC pipe. So that's one of my aids that I use to
just make adjustments wherever you can.
Just to make adjustments, right?
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the staff that you coach with, because they just treat you just like you're one of the guys, which you are. But I mean, they don't treat you any different, do they?
No. They
expect from you what they got from you before, don't they?
Exactly right. They're treat me just like, I mean, they treat me the same. There's no difference whatsoever. They still give me a hard time, and I still get it. So I mean, I give it and I get it. So, I mean, it's.
Well, talk a little bit about Coach Cooley coming over there. You got a new coach coming in.
New blood.
Cooley.
Youngblood.
Yeah.
Excited. I think it's a good thing. It was tough at first, but changes. The older you get, the more. With me, the older I get, the less I like change. And
well, I think we all do.
So
we get older, we kind of set in our ways.
Right, set in your ways, and Cooley's got some new ideas, and I mean, he's new, he's fresh. I mean, he's got fresh ideas, new ideas, but he came from a program that got it done. So I'm thinking that he's going to come to Kick-Tan and do the same.
Him coming from the winning program that he had over at Phoebus, he's bringing that winning mentality with him.
Yes, yeah.
Do you see that as a real positive?
Oh, no question about it. Yeah, there's no doubt that the man knows how to win. Because he's been around it. Success breeds success. So.
Right. All right. We're going to kind of wrap this thing up because I want you to talk, as we wrap this thing up, about the way that the kids have responded to you, and especially Byron Tillery. I had Byron in here, and he just couldn't talk about you enough. And so talk about your, as a father figure to these youngsters, and what it gives to you, what you get back from the kids.
Byron Tillery was kind of a special case because I knew him since he was 7 years old, out running around, a little big-headed kid, just running around the field, not a care in the world, just, wanting to be a part of Kick-Tan and be a part of football. And, you know, the love I have for him is a little different because of the length of time and the things that we went through with Byron. And Byron came a long way from where he was to where he got to and where he's going to.
Right.
He came a long way, and I'm proud of Byron. And you know, other kids that I've had the privilege to coach. I mean, Alan Backus, you know, he was a great football player. Corey Davis, Gerard Mayo.
Well, you had 2 Corey Davises come through.
2 Corey Davises, they both at the same time. It was hard to coach because, you know, you yelling at Corey and Corey Davis. I mean, you know.
If I remember, it was Corey C and Corey D.
Corey C and Corey D, and how we distinguished was Big Corey and Little Corey.
Okay.
The one who was the biggest one was Big Corey, and the other one was Little Corey. So they both were big, but there was a little bit of size difference. So, I mean, and then the heritage, I mean, you know, you got Elton Brown, Darryl Blockstock, Michael Johnson. I mean, just fabulous athletes that could run like a deer. I mean, just very good athletes. Yeah. So what they give to me is a fulfillment. And when you hear a kid come back and say, "Thanks, Coach, couldn't have done without you," there's your paycheck.
Right, you can't put a value on that, can you?
Can't put a value on it. Yeah. And, you know, you can have all the money you want to, all the houses, all the cars that you want to have, but if you don't, when you have that love from a kid, that's what you get back. Just that feeling that you get in your heart that you helped that kid along and that he's going to succeed. So that's why I'm in the game.
Well, I appreciate you coming in.
Appreciate being here.
I want to thank you for tuning in to LSC and Sports Time. I want to thank my special guest, Dan Thompson. I'm your host, Bob Hintz. Till next time.